Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
You're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the new generation took over the WWF. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Say it ain't so, Shawn Michaels.
God, gag me with a spoon. Joe Giammatteo.
Did you miss me, sweetheart?
Oh, man, you got me out of nowhere with that one. Good job. Good job. I am the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. And guess what, everybody? This is going to be the last viewing from 1995 that we will have. We've gone through all of the pay-per-views, and this will be the last Raw that the dreaded 95 can dish up to us.
Looking forward to it.
It deserves a pop of the bubbly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on December 18th, 1995. This Raw was recorded at the Bob Carpenter Center in Newark, Delaware, and features Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yes, let's close the casket lid on 1995 Raw.
Just to get it out of the way real quick, Ryan, are there any Jobber of the Week candidates this week?
You may think so in one of these matches, but the answer is no.
All right, thank you. So, last night, we had a shocking Christmas package that came unwrapped over the course of an action-packed evening at In Your House 5. Keep in mind, folks, this is the Raw immediately following the pay-per-view. This Christmas carnage culminated with Diesel getting pissed about The Undertaker becoming the new #1 contender for the World Heavyweight title.
And that's the last time we'll see that footage.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to just keep beating that into the ground, is there?
No.
After the full Nitro Light intro, we were at ringside for what is claimed to be a live broadcast at the time. Unsure if that's true or not. Don't forget that tonight we have Razor Ramon defending the Intercontinental title against Yokozuna. And, of course, the most important thing, we will get an update on the health of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Thoughts and prayers just constantly flowing out to him in this trying time.
As he's railing Sonny.
But now, some good old-timey country twang hits the house PA, and we go into our first match of the night. Double J Jeff Jarrett defeats Make a Difference Fatu by disqualification in 5 minutes and 47 seconds. And now, everybody, Double J is carrying a guitar to the ring. That's something that we should get used to, and it becomes quite iconic. I'm not sure if this is like a solid thing from here on in. I'm not sure if he's going to always have the guitar, but it definitely becomes more or less his gimmick later on in his career. So interesting to note the debut of it here. We got footage of Double J politely requesting that chair for Ahmed's face, as Joe noted in our In Your House episode there. You can find that in the archives. Now it's Fatu's turn to come down. I'm really happy that Fatu is having a great time here with the high energy and dancing, but it's kind of just not my cup of tea. This is not a critique of any of Fatu's work in the ring or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. There's a reason why this gimmick didn't really stick and take off, I think, and that becomes very evident. Double J dodges Fatu on the first tie-up of our match and goes straight into the strut. It is nice to have Double J back seeing things like this. And then with the rope sequence that follows, fast, tight, Double J dodging that great kick from Fatu, stopping to strut, but then a takedown. What a great way to start this match. Of course, though, damage to Fatu's head induces him to dance. Excellent swinging neckbreaker from Double J, and that scoop slam from Fatu during his rally looked great. And you know what? That clothesline in the corner that followed that up, that was perfect. Good stuff going on here in the ring. And I had to pause here to note that at commentary, Vince is referencing, and I quote, "the desecration of Santa Claus" last night at In Your House 5. And then, just out of nowhere, out comes Ahmed Johnson to go after Double J. This is going to draw the disqualification and the victory for Double J. And then Ahmed goes in to check on the condition of Fatu, because Fatu was getting a bit of a beating there towards the end. Ahmed helps Fatu out of the ring. Guys, I'm just really, really happy to have Double J back on our screens. Joe, what did you think of our opener and the in-ring return of Double J Jeff Jarrett?
I am happy to see him as well. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it feels kind of weird to have him there without the roadie.
Yeah.
You know, after seeing him with the roadie for so long, he looks kind of naked without him. But the match was fairly good. I mean, this was a setup to continue the feud between Ahmed Johnson and Double J. And Fatu is, this gimmick is so bad. This after school special.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Make a difference. It's just so bad. I always get so distracted by it, you know, with the dancing and stuff, that I can't really pay attention to the match too much. Every time I see him, I wonder if, like, did he come up with this or did Vince come up with it? Like, I always just wonder who came up with this shit, because this kind of gimmick is like a fucking death sentence, but he was obviously...
I can only assume it's Vince.
He was obviously able to overcome that and do some great things later. So, yeah, the match itself, like I said, was a setup for Ahmed to come out, and it just... Fatu was selling the shoulder injury, but not enough that it justified Ahmed Johnson coming out, but whatever. It was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Fatu in his gimmick that he has that he's trying to work with here. I mean, it works later after I could only assume after he starts showing off more of his ass. That must have been what brought the fans coming in later on. But right now, he's still a good wrestler. He just, the gimmick, like you said, almost a death sentence. I guess he survives, but comes within inches of murdering this guy's career because it's bad. But the ring work between these two guys, not to mention having Double J Jeff Jarrett back, just really good. Everything between them was fast. Bartlett, you mentioned that clothesline from Fatu in the corner. Man, did that look hard. I mean, it just looked like it knocked the wind out of Double J, and Jay just doing a really good job of playing up the heel. There's no surprise there. That's why we love Double J. Loved seeing the strut, and man, did he let it fucking go tonight. Double J must have strutted about like 4 or 5 times in the middle of this match. He was just letting out a whole, I don't know, how long has he been gone? 3-4 months?
Yeah.
Worth of strutting is what he got into this match. And I do have to agree with you, Joe, about the shoulder injury. I mean, he tried to play it up, and that was the justification given for why Ahmed Johnson had to come in and save everything. But like, I don't know, you're not even going to let him finish his own match? You have to come in and save him before the match is over? I thought that was a little bit lame. A bit of a shitty ending to what was a good match between two good workers.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely agree with that. I really didn't see it at first, but listening to you guys talk about it, you're both, I think, spot on with it. Why couldn't Ahmed have just done a run-in period? Like, why did the shoulder need to come into play? We've got the incident from In Your House where there was, the so-called gold CD getting busted over Ahmed's head. He didn't need any more motivation than that. He could have just run in to kick some ass.
It seemed like that was solely to try and save the baby face because he shouldn't come in and just, cause a disqualification. So, we'll play up a stupid shoulder injury for justification. Why? But I thought it fell kind of flat.
Yeah, agreed. The only thing that I'll add on to this discussion is that later on in Fatu's career, when he becomes Rikishi and starts wearing the sumo thong, The stink face should have been renamed to the after school special. My God, the after school special.
The atomic sit-up.
All right. Let's go to Doc Hendricks now. He's there at ringside with Gorilla Monsoon. Doc can barely catch his breath. He is that coked up. Let's talk about the upcoming Royal Rumble. The Undertaker will be taking on Bret the Hitman Hart for the Heavyweight Championship. But of course, Diesel isn't happy about that. Gorilla, to his credit, says Diesel can just fucking get over it. As for the Rumble itself, Double J will not be in the Royal Rumble. Double J is going to be taking on Ahmed Johnson. Hopefully Jeff survives the encounter. But Doc is pressing for names here, and Gorilla is going to hold out on us as far as that goes. But he does tease that we'll be getting names that are current, names that are old, and names that we've never even heard before. And that last line makes me a little bit nervous. Honestly, all of it made me nervous. I don't know what's going to happen here, and not sure if that's a good thing or not. Before we move along, though, there are some comments from Goldust. Goldust starts with, Razor Ramon, bad guy. Oh, I like that, my boy. I'm going to skip a couple of his lines. I'm not going to recite this verbatim, but he did get to one spot where he says, I hear that you ooze machismo. Oh, well, let's ooze it together.
Jesus.
Goldust finishes this up with a playful bite at the camera. Just quickly, guys. Joe first. What do you think of an Ahmed Johnson-Jeff Jarrett match, and what did you think of this Goldust promo?
I love that they still use the 80s music for the Royal Rumble. I don't know if you guys caught that when they were talking. I hate that they're still calling Gorilla Monsoon the interim president. Just call him the president at this point, you know? I'm disappointed that Double J is not going to be in the Royal Rumble as the number one entrant. I liked that he did that. I thought that was a nice heel move. But now we have to kind of waste him in a match against Ahmed Johnson that's probably going to last a minute and 30 seconds. So I'd rather see him in the Royal Rumble. And the Goldust promo is just really, I mean, this stuff's just, it's getting out of control very quickly. And the teeth clamping thing is it might be worse than the nails on the chalkboard with Dean Douglas for me. I hate that sound.
So, I mean, we all saw the Double J Ahmed Johnson match coming. I didn't know for sure it was going to be Royal Rumble, especially since Double J said he was going to be in Royal Rumble, but I guess we're going to shake things up there. We all worry for Double J's safety. Hopefully everything ends okay. The Goldust promo, it was, I thought it came off a little bit more clear during this promo that it is a psychological warfare against Razor for his Intercontinental belt than it did at In Your House. Like, yes, it was still sexual in many ways, but to me, it was like, okay, this is all just let me get into his head so I can steal his belt. I kind of dig where Goldust is going with this, and we'll see how things, shape up here.
That's a great point about the mental warfare going on with this. I was not thinking of it that way. I don't know how I was thinking about it, but that's a really great perspective to put on it. What I couldn't get past is, like, as I'm watching this and listening to the shit that Goldust is saying, I'm just having flashbacks in my head of all of the different shoot interviews with WWF people, most notably Bruce Pritchard, where he was saying that, it was just androgynous. It was just that. No, this is blatant. This is very blatant. This is not going for bizarreness. This is full bore.
Well, I mean, as I stated last week, one step away from hand job in the ring. It was.
Yeah, it's not very tasteful, and especially knowing who the demographic is. You're asking for people to chant derogatory things at Goldust and other people. So yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yep. And during the holiday season too. We'll get to the toy commercials later, but yeah. Anyway, we'll move it along after a recap of the Diesel and Undertaker interaction that ended last night's pay-per-view. Again, we will go into our next match. Buddy Landel defeats Bob Holly by pinfall in 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Even Buddy Landel's music is a Ric Flair knockoff, but it is still better than Bob Holly's. Before things get started, though, Doc Hendricks is going to be there at ringside with some outrageously priced copies of WrestleMania the arcade game. Whenever it had been mentioned before, I wasn't even paying attention, and Joe, you had mentioned, during our In Your House episode about the cost of some of these games. So I paid more attention this time. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the PlayStation version was cheaper than SNES or Sega Genesis. Did you guys notice that?
Mm-hmm.
That's just weird as hell to me.
Well, I distinctly remember that when that happened, too. And the reason why was the PlayStation ran off CD. The other ones were the old cartridges, and the CD was much cheaper to produce than the cartridges were. So not only did the Sony come out with, better graphics, they were using a cheaper medium and were able to come in at a cheaper cost. When Sony came onto the gaming scene, they really shook the foundation of the console market. It was something back then.
We might have to see if we can get a hold of some of these cartridges, maybe. I'll have to get on the old eBay and see what a SNES or Sega Genesis cartridge is going for nowadays. Well, back in the match here, as the bell rings, the opening arm drag takedown looked great. I'm not sure if Landel is a heel here. He's kind of acting like one, and Bob Holly is, I guess, usually mostly a babyface, even though he's like a lower mid-carder at this point. And I have to say, up against Bob Holly, Buddy Landel looks like the out-of-shape, in-shape man from Family Guy. Buddy's work was looking pretty good up until he started throwing punches in the corner at Bob Holly's gut. So, imagine somebody working a heavy bag. And I just couldn't get past how scrawny his arms looked while engaged and punching compared to Bob's arms at full relax in the corner. It was just night and day. It's like Buddy Landel's arms are the bones that are underneath Bob Holly's muscles.
He had those old man, droopy muscles.
Yeah.
He makes me think of like an older Greg Valentine. Like that's kind of
and a foot taller.
He's got the long blonde hair and kind of the same facial features a little bit and body style in Valentine's older days.
Well, I'm pretty sure Bob caught Buddy with a pretty stiff boot out of the corner. I could be wrong about that, but Bob paused and was waiting there to make sure Buddy was going to stand up on his own afterwards. Buddy continues the Ric Flair impersonation with a teensy bit of a strut, but he stops himself pretty quickly. All in all, the work in this match wasn't bad, despite Buddy's look, and I did like that drop toe hold takedown that Buddy put on Bob. The head scissors takedown from Bob Holly was surprising and welcome. It wasn't the most graceful, perfect thing ever, but for Bob Holly, it looked pretty good. I was pretty impressed by him pulling it off. And then out of nowhere, on the strength of a corkscrew elbow drop, Buddy Landel gets the pin and the 3 count to secure the victory. Surprise of all surprises, this match wasn't terrible. Ryan, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I would agree that it wasn't terrible. And, going into it after the night before at In Your House 5, Buddy Landel got squashed by Ahmed Johnson. So going into this match, I'm already starting to look stuff up like Buddy Landel's going to be my jobber of the week is pretty what I'm thinking, going into this. But then I noticed that this is taking a little bit longer. Buddy, when he takes over, wasn't immediately reversed and annihilated. And I agree that the actual work out of Buddy outside of his absurd look was not bad at all. And Bob Holly, he could be stiff at times, but he works good too. And fairly entertaining match that these two guys put together. I mean, I can't get over the look of Buddy Landel. I can't do it. It's just such a terrible ripoff of Ric Flair, and he just looked so out of shape. But some of the stuff he pulled off, it was clear this guy is an old school ring veteran. And I also was a little bit sad to see Bob have to kind of job out and become a stepping stone here for someone no one here is going to care about, Buddy Landel. So, you take a young superstar like Bob Holly and you're just making him lose out to Buddy. So that was a little bit sad, but agree. I was pleasantly surprised with what I got to see in the ring.
I'm still stuck on these gimmicks, and I can't believe they're still doing a shitty NASCAR gimmick for Bob Holly still. I don't know that I would give him a gimmick at all or what I would do with him, but this NASCAR stuff just it's not working, and they're still doing it. The other thing I noticed was with the video games, Doc Hendricks is talking about them this week and last week, so no Barry fucking Dudensky again this week.
I'm a little worried if he got power bombed to hell again.
I hope not. I hope he didn't sneak into that casket with Mabel and Mo.
My God, he would have suffocated.
I did not like this match, and here is why. I feel that anytime Buddy Landel has any hold applied, it looks too fake. Like he's not cinching down on the hold at all. He's just clearly catching a breather. And I thought about this Ric Flair ripoff, and I thought for a second, like, I'm going to look up and see, did he just start doing this in WWF or was he doing it before? But then I thought, you know what? Fuck Buddy Landel. I don't give a shit. And I didn't even bother looking. I thought the match started out okay, but it just got kind of boring for me. I did like the Frankensteiner by Bob Holly. That was pretty nice. I hated this finish because Bob Holly goes for a drop kick or maybe another Frankensteiner, not quite sure. And he misses it because Landel grabs the ropes, which was a smart move. And then Landel just gives Bob Holly an elbow and it's over. So I guess it makes sense because Bob Holly should have gone for the cover after the Frankensteiner, and he did not. But, like, these fucking commentators, Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, like, they don't even mention any of that. And to me, that was kind of important at the end. Like, oh, Bob Holly should have gone for the cover, but he didn't. So now Buddy Landel gets the win. But they didn't even fucking explain that. It was just like, this match was just kind of there, and, like, no one gives a shit. So that's kind of why I didn't like it.
Yeah, and those are great points. So I would ask, because now you've got me thinking about it. Do you think that, because you said about the way that Buddy sits in holds, they don't look authentic or legitimate because he's not ratcheting down. Do you think that it's because he doesn't have biceps of any kind?
Could be. He's like it's like the Bugs Bunny when Bugs Bunny would flex and his arm would just droop. Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're joking about it, but seriously, though, the Bulldog, for example, could put you in a headlock and have it look just devastating because he's got those massive arms and muscles.
True, yeah.
Really, all he has to do is just flex a little bit, and it looks like he's murdering the person.
Yeah, but we got guys like 1-2-3 Kid and stuff that are,
That's
smaller
true.
Guys that can still pull that off.
That is true.
But again, the 1-2-3 Kid, even though he's thin, he still has muscles. They don't go...
Yeah. I mean, Buddy Landel is an older guy, too,
Yeah.
So...
And that bears the question, why did we bring him in then? If he's, this old and useless, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll do you one better, because this is something else I was thinking about with this. What we're known for here in the WWF in this time is repackaging for proprietary IP. What the fuck is it called? Intellectual property, that's it. So of all the people that could have used a makeover, that could have used maybe not a gimmick, because Jesus Christ, we would have wound up with a fucking, I was going to say policeman, but we've already had one of those. We could have wound up with some kind of gimmick, which would have been equally bad, but
well, I mean, we
I don't
did.
know.
The Nature Boy. He's the ripoff of Ric Flair.
Yeah, that's true.
I have some shocking breaking news. Buddy Landel in 1995 was only 34 years old.
Holy goddamn.
Yeah.
He was younger than us.
Born in 1961.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well,
that just
shows that he sucks even more.
Yeah, that changes everything.
That kind of eliminates the benefit of the doubt for me.
Yeah,
personally.
like I was talking about, like, okay, he's working like an old guy that maybe was good during his heyday. But
right, like, he's just an old Greg Valentine. That's all.
No,
He's 30 years younger than I thought he was.
He is, let me look real quick.
Is he still alive?
No, he's not still alive. He is younger than Bret Hart.
Oh my God.
So does he have that like Benjamin Button disease or whatever that?
He's got, it's porphyria. Whatever the hell it is, the precious disease.
Man, that's crazy.
Wow.
Unless that's a Wikipedia typo.
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah.
Nobody told him about the times of changing. He got stuck with that old school wrestling crowd that operated off of diner waffles and whiskey.
I mean,
and didn't go to a gym.
No wonder Jim Cornette loved him.
Yeah.
I could have swore we were ripping on a World War I veteran.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think at least 50s.
Yeah.
Right? Like at least in his 50s.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I thought he was about 50s.
I mean, this dude looks like
35.
fucking Big Dick Murdoch coming in.
I was going to say, I thought this was maybe the guy that trained Big Dick.
I don't understand how a 35-year-old could have the muscles. That just doesn't make sense.
Looked like he belonged in the SWF Battle Royale.
God damn.
Well, let's move it along. Because I have to think that Buddy is not long for the WWF here. It can't. I really didn't think we would ever see him again after that horrific squash at the pay-per-view last night. But
now he's got to push.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the push.
The push.
He's got the push.
All right. Well, here are those aforementioned kids' toy commercials to take us off to nostalgia land and rinse the ooze of machismo off of our faces that we got money shotted with there with Goldust.
Oh, man.
Some of these commercials: Hot Shots Basketball, Karate Fighters, Ricochet, the RC Car. What was that tagline? Run it like you hate it? Something like that. These are all being sold in the same program where a golden man wants to ooze things with a bad boy. And now we're going to go to Brother Love. Excellent. Because that's what I felt this episode needed. He's going to be there with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, to talk about the altercation between the Santa Claus impersonator and Savio Vega last night. And here is where we get the name of Xanta Claus. And Xanta Claus is from the South Pole, not the North Pole. I'm taking this all to mean that apparently this character is the anti-Santa, the Xanta. And just all I have to say about that is just what the living fuck is this shit. But you know what else we find out here? 1996 is apparently going to be the year of the $1 Million Champion.
Ooh, I wonder who that could be.
Quite interesting to hear.
Tickling our taint.
Yeah.
That gets followed up by that Freddie Blassie, Newt Rockney locker room prep talk thing for the WWF Raw Bowl. Still no explanation as of this point what the fuck the Raw Bowl is. Before we move along, Ryan, what did you think of our interim material here, specifically the revelation of Xanta Claus and the hints of the $1 Million Champion?
You know, I was just thrilled to hear the reveal of Xanta Claus. There's heavy sarcasm in that, if you can't tell. But yeah, as we've been warning for weeks now, and you know, here we are. We're introduced to Xanta Claus. He's from the South Pole. Yay, you know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to go much further than this. This is the last episode before Christmas, so we don't see Xanta Claus here. I assume we're not going to see him after Christmas, so this is going to be done with, I suppose, and we're going to move on, and Balls Mahoney is going to end up with the ECW after this.
Yeah, so this Brother Love segment made me realize how significant this return of Brother Love is, because I forgot that the ringmaster makes his debut on a Brother Love interview.
Oh.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. I got to thinking like, oh, Brother Love returned a couple weeks ago. So this is kind of a significant return for him. The teasing of the $1 Million Champion was pretty cool because we know who that's going to be. However, I can't believe they still think that the corporation is a good stable. You know, it's like we've gone through all of 95 and that stable's garbage. Bob Holly's gimmick is garbage. Fatu's gimmick is garbage. Like, come on, guys, let's do something different going into the new year. Santa Claus was not there, so that was a plus, right?
Yeah.
For the Raw Bowl commercial, I just want to say that Freddie Blassie definitely comes off as a great heel coach.
Yes.
And he probably could have played one in a movie. Like, he's that good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just curious, and I mean, I guess this is a rhetorical question, but why do any of this Santa Claus stuff at all? I know it's the holiday season.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think that's the only reason.
I feel like wrestling just loves doing shitty things with Christmas. I mean, we get this.
Yeah.
We get fucking Santa with muscles with Hulk Hogan. We had that terrible Goldberg Santa Claus movie. What the hell's that called? I can't remember. Just all garbage.
Yeah. Like, I can see the In Your House stuff because they have a track record of doing weird shit at pay-per-views, you know, gobbledygooker, but
this is the next day and still right before Christmas, and they're going to go on, you know, Christmas break after this. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a few extra drinks.
Yeah.
Too much eggnog.
Yeah.
All right. Well, following that last segment, we're going to go into our final match of the night. Razor Ramon defeats Yokozuna by countout in 8 minutes and 46 seconds to retain the WWF Intercontinental Championship. At the beginning of this, Yoko came out alone, and I was surprised. That didn't last for too long, but it was just very odd seeing Yoko come out by himself. And then, following Yokozuna, and I think this is where the mix-up might have happened, Goldust is there with the usher. With his usher. It's great that he has an usher.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is
with his
good.
usher.
It
Nice
is.
touch.
He has
Yeah.
this fucking lackey that comes and cleans his seat off for him.
Dressed in like the bellhop outfit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great.
like
It's good shit.
You'd expect him to have the little flashlight so he could show you which aisle to go down. Yeah.
Well, Goldust with the usher. The usher shows Goldust to his seat, and that is directly along the entryway. Razor then comes out for his entrance, and Razor deliberately ignores Goldust. And then, in a twist, and what was maybe the best part of this match, instead of Razor's typical pyro display and his, you know, thing that he does with his fists and jumping in the ring, we get gold glitter on gold lights raining down on them instead of the usual thing.
Are you starting to see the psychological war I'm saying here?
Yeah. At that point, I wasn't considering it a psychological war specifically, but with the gold glitter, that's when I was like, I get you. He's fucking with him. I wasn't nearly as sophisticated as psychological warfare. It was fucking with him. And here is where we get to see that Jim Cornette wound up down at ringside. I did not see him enter, but it seems like all of the players are in place now. And this is very clearly not about Yokozuna challenging for the title at all. The focus is all on the Goldust angle here. And it's just as well, though, because Yokozuna was not looking good in this. And as soon as I was typing that note, Yoko not looking good in this, here comes the Vulcan nerve pinch. Yoko is just pouring sweat. And, yeah, pouring. We get a camera close-up of him mopping his fucking face. And I swear you could have filled an entire mop bucket with his sweat. And after that, we go back into the same series of moves that we just had. It's literally a repeat. It feels like all Yoko can do anymore is take punches and clotheslines in the center of the ring and tease falling over. We cut to commercial and come back to another fucking Vulcan nerve pinch. Thankfully, though, that must have just been for the commercial because they quickly get out of it. I was happy to see that they had their timing down in this episode for once. The amount of time spent stalling in stationary positions, typical of a Yokozuna match at this stage in his career, not entertaining at all. even the bulldog from the corner that Razor puts on Yokozuna, while a welcome diversion from the usual things we see in Yokozuna matches, this bulldog just looked off because regardless of what direction Yoko falls in, he doesn't look like he has that far to fall. So at any given time, either his ass or his gut is about an inch away from the mat. So whenever you take him down with a bulldog, it just doesn't look that impressive.
It's like trying to push over a ball.
A weeble. Yes. He's like a weeble. He's a shmoo. A shmoo.
Exactly.
But then, and I find it just shocking to be saying this, the fucking Undertaker comes out with a casket. And I am immediately lost in this. What the hell is he doing? Okay, we'll save that for discussion. But the casket, because we're circling back. Remember a year ago, about a year and 2 months, I'd say, give or take. Yoko had that fear of the casket. And despite the casket matches, and time passing and everything, maybe he had time to see a therapist for at least his casket fear, if not his eating disorder. None of that happened.
Definitely not the eating disorder.
Yeah. He had time to work on himself, but he didn't take it, and he therefore runs away. The Undertaker and Paul Bearer follow him, but leave the casket. This is still the same casket from the casket match the night before with all of the graffiti all over it. This is what draws the count out and the victory for Razor as Yokozuna is counted out. So even though this is our headlining match, we still have around 10 minutes of Raw left. So I have to stop here and ask you, Joe, what did you think of our main event tonight?
One clothesline. When you have that kind of girth, turns the tide just like that. Yep. That was a line from Vincent Kennedy McMahon during this match. This match sucked, and it was a good reminder that Yokozuna is better off in a tag team right now.
Yeah.
Man, 1, 2, 3 Vulcan nerve pinches. Holy shit. Triple nerve pinch.
That's what you're going to get with an 8-minute singles match with Yoko. I mean, he's got to catch his breath.
Unbelievable. I thought the same thing. Why the fuck is The Undertaker coming out here with a casket? And I had the commentary sort of explained it, but I had to go back and think, oh, that's right. This feud that nobody cares about between Mabel and The Undertaker. If you remember, it was also Yokozuna that was sitting on The Undertaker's face.
Also helped break his orbital socket.
Yes. It's so bad that we don't even remember it,
Yeah.
BSK on the casket, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Nice catch, yeah.
The graffiti, some of it said BSK. Back to the kind of near the beginning here, and Bartlett, I assume you're going to get us into the interview with Razor Ramon. The Goldust stuff, to me, the feud would have been good if they didn't get too homoerotic with it. I think that it could have worked if, Ryan, kind of like you said, like if Goldust is lusting more for the title instead of Razor, it probably would have been great.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But they're going for the full-blown homoerotic thing, and they still don't admit it to this day, like you mentioned earlier, Bartlett.
Right.
Bruce Pritchard saying, he's androgynous.
Bruce Pritchard is a fucking WWE lackey, so
yes,
whatever he says is pretty much worthless.
So, no wonder Scott Hall hated this and went to WCW.
All because of this.
Yeah, this was not a good match, and I don't think anyone expected it to. I thought from the beginning, the little touch with the glitter coming down on the razor, I thought that was a good touch. But right from the beginning, we started off with a split screen. I mean, we're not even gonna show the match start without a split screen. And Yoko just looks so tired in the ring once it starts. I mean, Vulcan nerve pinch after Vulcan nerve pinch. It's pretty much standard fare at this point. If he's in a singles match, it's going to be mostly him rolling out of the ring, slowly walking around the ring, coming back in, and wasting more time. We had that one shot where Razor is like, it was very cartoony. He's chopping Yoko down like a tree with punches, and Yoko's just whoa reeling like for 12 minutes as he's just with his arms circling and he reeling. Man, was it bad. It was really sad. And then Razor nailed Yoko with the bulldog off the top rope. And last week I was criticizing that, saying that it was like a finish out of nowhere with Sid. But it appears that maybe that is becoming Razor's finisher for someone that's too big to get up in the Razor's Edge. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that moving forward. But none of that mattered because he wasn't going to get the finish. The Undertaker comes out, the lights are flickering, and we're going to resurrect this feud with Yokozuna. He runs out of the ring. He's afraid of this casket. I could only assume because the rotting corpses of Mo and Mabel are still in it. I mean, it looked like it. It's the same casket from last night, so that's kind of morbid. I decided to look something up. If you remember last week, there was a lot of talk about Mo not closing the casket lid after he threw in Undertaker. So I said, in my head, I'm thinking, what happened in that first casket match against Yokozuna where 12 guys came out and helped Yokozuna win that? Did Yoko close it or did someone else close it? So I went back and watched it, and Bam Bam Bigelow closed the casket. So that ruling that Mabel had to close it sounds kind of bullshit to me, since Bam Bam was able to win it for Yoko in that match. So that was a little bit inconsistency that we had going on, but I don't know. I don't understand. We thought the Undertaker was finally going to maybe move on to greener pastures, but here we are just regurgitating yet another one of his bad feuds. Well, I mean, he did have a decent casket match with Yoko, one of them, but I'm not looking forward to another feud with a 100-pound heavier Yoko.
Especially when this man has a World Heavyweight Championship match in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, like when is this? Is this just going to be next week on Raw? I mean, if that's the case, okay, I'll take an Undertaker Yoko match on Raw.
That's the Raw Bowl. That's what the Raw Bowl is.
See, that was the thing that confused me the most about this is why are we doing any of this? Yeah. Why can't we just have like promos between Bret Hart and the Undertaker? That would be entertaining as hell. It's only for a month. I don't know. I suppose, though, Ryan, that rule about closing the casket lid, that must be one of those androgynous rules.
Yeah.
I see.
See how they do that? As I said there in the breakdown, we've still got about 10 minutes left in our episode of Raw. We did not end it at the end of a match. We're going to have more toy commercials. These are WWF, the arcade game, NFL Quarterback Club 96. My God, blast from the past there. Madden has taken over football games so much, I completely forgot about Quarterback Club.
Well, they didn't take over. In the time between then and now, EA has secured exclusive NFL rights is what happened. Oh. So there are no NFL games other than Madden, where back then you had NFL Street, there was probably a half a dozen different NFL games out at that point.
It's like Anheuser-Busch owning all of the rights to Super Bowl beer commercials.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The last toy on the list, Erector sets.
Oh, yeah.
Love that
I had a few of those.
As has been mentioned during the episode here, once or twice, and by us also, there will be no airing of Raw here in the United States this week. There will be some kind of international Raw going on, so to our international listeners, you're on your own to watch that one, because we don't get it here. But here's where we get a little more information on just what the fuck the Raw Bowl is. Apparently, it's going to be just another Raw episode, but it's going to have an 8-man match between a variety of characters. So that sounds fantastic.
Doesn't sound gimmicky at all.
No, not at all. But let's move it along here because we need to talk to Doc Hendricks and Razor Ramon in the entryway there after their match. Doc wants to talk about how Goldust is interested in Razor.
Circle yes.
Goldust sent that letter saying that Razor is hot, but Razor states, point blank to the camera that he only likes women. Goldust can do his thing, but not with Razor, which I thought was actually a pretty cool way to cap that off. A very respectable and still somewhat, I guess, in character way of saying it without Razor being too offensive with it. But they keep teasing the contents of the letter. The contents of the letter are not for children. Razor even goes so far as to say that this is a family show. Well, Razor, the time for being concerned about this being a family show ended like a week ago.
With Santa Claus.
Oh, God. And we've saved the best for last. Let's talk about the real showstopper here. The most important thing. That thing that we talked about at the very beginning. I don't want to name it. But we're going to have to talk about it. It will be entitled, Say It's Not So, Shawn Michaels. So just a little behind-the-scenes peek here. We do not talk about matches, but we do occasionally tickle each other's taints in our texting thread about wrestling. And going into this, Joe usually watches these episodes before Ryan and I do, and Joe sent out just a single text. And just as Joe predicted... I was instantly enraged and disgusted by this segment. I am going to leave the description of this to you guys because, and this is not an exaggeration, I had to resist the urge to just clear my fucking desk and just sweep it. This was horrible. This pissed me off just to no end. And I'll leave it at, suffice it to say that this was just some real wind beneath my wings shit going on with this. And that's where the episode ends. Joe, please get us started on the way that Raw ended tonight.
This is a Shawn Michaels musical tribute, as described by Vince McMahon.
It's a tribute. He's like he's fucking dead.
Yeah. And I was dreading this whole episode because Vince teased this 4 or 5 times.
Well, but I was not expecting this.
Oh, I was dreading it. I knew it was going to be bad. This was like a sad, sappy song, but it also had Shawn doing his strip teasing and pelvic thrusting.
In slow motion. Star wipe.
10 seconds into it.
Star wipe.
And I said, you know what? This is worse than the headdress ceremony already. 10 seconds in.
Wow, yeah.
What a fitting way to cap off Monday Night Raw in 1995. Just the worst thing that we have seen up to this point. Sums up the entire year. I get this is the 90s, but this isn't something that should be on a wrestling program. I don't know what it should be on, but this was offensive to wrestling fans, I think. We know that Shawn is going to win the Royal Rumble, but is he going to be a surprise entrant? That's really the only way they can redeem themselves from this. This is, and I go back to what I said before, Shawn Michaels is not a babyface. Shawn Michaels in real life is a tormented individual who is a total dickhead. He is not a babyface. This stuff is just a push that is worse than the Lex Express. I am still standing behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's no hero. I mean, he's popping pills and popping people's girlfriends, you know? I mean, he's...
And getting popped by Marines in a bar for hitting on their girlfriends. It's Shawn Michaels. I guess this gets a pass because Shawn went on to do amazing things in his career and still does. He still works in the industry. But, this push is worse than Diesel and Lex Express, in my opinion.
Sure, but I mean, a push is a push, but this video was something else. I mean, it felt like a sappy, like if maybe one of the girls on Full House's best friend died or something, and they were going to do like a sappy, let's teach kids about Lost type episode. I mean, I didn't even know what the fuck I was watching. I haven't mentioned it up until this point, but this one, I was back in Pittsburgh, And I watched this episode with my dad, and he pretty much didn't say anything. He was like, "Oh, you're doing your thing. I'll let you watch this and take your notes." He didn't really say too much, but when this part came up, he was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because it's shocking for anyone to watch this because of just how melodramatic and over the top this was. There was like pink glitter background and like the slow motion type video you see when someone dies in a very shitty movie or 90s sitcom. This was so bizarre. And to your point, Joe, when you say, yeah, he doesn't need the push, not only does he not need it, it's making me hate him. I don't want to see Shawn Michaels succeed after seeing this just 5 minutes of fucking masturbation about Shawn Michaels over some of the most absurd music I have heard in a long time about angels flying high. And I don't know. I wasn't going to write down the music, but wow. Like you said, what a way to highlight 1995 with some of the most worst shit our eyes have seen ever in the wrestling world.
First of all, perfect ending for 95. It couldn't be any more appropriate. But this is something that like a teenage girl would put together.
Yes.
To worship her crush that got into a car accident after prom.
Mm-hmm. In 1992.
Yeah. This is Vince McMahon saying, "Let me apply the lube for you, Shawn."
It's ironic because Shawn Michaels, so when Shawn Michaels had his title run, he couldn't handle the pressure of being champion. He's admitted that himself.
Right, yeah.
And when you look back at this, it's like this push is so hard. It's like this just put more pressure on it. Not that, he shouldn't be able to take the pressure, but like this just put more pressure on that for someone who is tormented and can't handle the pressure.
I would feel very uncomfortable if someone made a video like this about me.
Yes. So wait a second. Are you saying then that those times where we, the viewers, got told that we were the shitheads for pushing Shawn to do these things to his body, it's really Vince McMahon that's the shithead all along by pressuring him with this kind of bullshit, which then just kind of keeps the shitty cycle of somas and assholery going.
Classic projection. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of enabling a little bit.
All right. Well, as we stated, that is the end of Raw tonight and the end of 1995. So let's take it on over to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, why don't you go first?
So for my highlight, outside of the disappointing ending, because of the actual work, I'm going to go with the Double J Fatu match. I was excited to see Double J back in the ring. Thought he established himself pretty well as the heel yet again, and a lot of good ring work between the two. Could have done without the confusing ending with Ahmed, but that's what we got. Low light of 1995, the Shawn Michaels I fucking love you montage movie from Vince McMahon. It was sad, pathetic, and it looked like a parody. It didn't seem like it was real wrestling. Unbelievable.
Mine are the same, pretty much. My highlight, I'm going with the return of Double J, and for my low light, it has to be the Shawn Michaels musical tribute that should not have been on a wrestling program at all.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3, gentlemen. Highlights, Double J and Fatu. It was a good match. I mean, like you said, Ryan, could have done without the Ahmed stuff, but all in all, if we just kind of ignore that part of it, the work was good. They're both talented guys. Low light, absolutely. Say it's not so. Shawn Michaels, way to just punch us in the nuts on the way out the door. WWF, thank you for that.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah. All right. Well, Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around December 18th, 1995 for us?
Yes, December 18th is a very key date in the Wild Monday Night Wars. It produced another memorable moment for the Monday Night Wars. Deborah Miceli, otherwise known as Alundra Blaze or Medusa. She showed up on WCW Monday Nitro on December 18th and called the WWF out by name and threw the WWF Women's Championship belt in a garbage can. So I know you guys watched that Monday Night Wars series on the network. And
yeah.
So, I mean, you guys understand that how pivotal that was. I mean, that was a pivotal moment in the Monday Night Wars. I'm sure they highlighted it on that special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly, Miceli's contract expired on December 13th, and it was well known within the WWF that she was looking to possibly go to WCW, so her contract was not renewed. So kind of a fancy way of saying she was fired. They didn't renew her contract. Before that, there was going to be a possibility of an Alundra Blaze versus Aja Kong match at the Royal Rumble, but obviously that is now canceled. With that news, guys, I don't know if you have anything you want to add about just Alundra Blaze in general and her run in the WWF.
We knew this was coming. You know, we've been kind of warning about this for a while now, and we all knew it was coming, but it doesn't make it any more sad. You know, we now know this is the official end for quite some time of anything that we could even remotely call a real woman's division in the WWF. So, I mean, this is a very sad day for the WWF, and I guess a good day for Alundra Blaze or Medusa when she moves on here. So, it's disappointing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, it's something I've thought long and hard about, especially coming out of Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano at SummerSlam 94. That was such a great match, and it hinted at what a good women's match could be. And then this shit happens. And by this shit, I mean just the total dismissal of the women's division in general, ignoring it, neglecting it. And I really think that what the WWF did with Alundra Blaze here at this time, I think it set women's wrestling back a good 15 years at a minimum. Because, Medusa goes on to WCW, but how much did she really do in WCW? Was there a huge women's division there?
There wasn't.
No, yeah. Unfortunately, there wasn't much of a women's division ever there.
Yeah, they went straight to the Nitro girls.
She eventually ends up quitting it all and becomes a monster car driver. So,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, that should really tell you what she felt to the wrestling world. She decided to go drive fucking giant trucks.
Yeah, I think that, with watching some more modern wrestling and seeing some of the women's wrestling now, and WWE certainly likes to toot their own horn on, how far along they've come with women's wrestling being a huge part of the show. But Alundra Blaze was she definitely paved the way for a lot of these women right now and had nothing to work with. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So good for her. A little bit more news here. At the end of Superstars this weekend, Jim Ross hinted that the Ultimate Warrior would be returning.
Oh, great.
However, nothing has been confirmed other than rumor that he will return at the Royal Rumble. We all know that the Warrior does make a 1996 return. I don't remember when he returned, so I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Warrior. We've heard nothing but terrible things ever since my childhood about the guy. I'm kind of interested to see what it's all about.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to turning our eyes back in hindsight and seeing if the adult version, like adult us, thinks the same thing that kid us used to. Not
only that, but can a guy who was really, really over in 1990 be as over as he was 6 years later? There's a couple guys who were at the In Your House event backstage. One named Steve Austin. And another named Tom Pritchard with short, blonde, dyed hair.
Yep, there it is. Zip, right?
Something like that. Gentlemen, look out for a tag team called the Spiders. What? That is apparently the Headbangers from Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Okay.
And were going by the name the Spiders at one point. This was interesting to read. I can't believe this was in the Observer, but it is. Most reports are that the blood in the Bret Hart versus British Bulldog match was from a blood capsule rather than a blade job.
Whoa.
Really?
That just doesn't seem...
It's a lot. It's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And it was all over the place. So
that seems like
I don't know.
Too much for a capsule to me.
Yeah. I'll keep looking for that, see if anything's confirmed there. The Royal Rumble, of course, is coming up soon, and Terry Funk was asked to be a part of the Royal Rumble, but he turned it down.
Good for him.
Good for Terry. Last item, gentlemen, Vince McMahon was on AOL chat again after the December 11th Raw. This time he was less of a smartass.
No.
Although many people were complaining that he was dodging the hard questions. So...
Well.
Still a rough chat with Vince McMahon on AOL in 1995. And that is all.
Thank you, Joseph. And that's it, folks. We are done with 1995. I want to thank you again for joining us. And if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on every major social media and podcast subscription platform by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. And just throw an @gmail.com at the end of that to send us an email. While you're there, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and let your friends know about the fastest growing wrestling podcast in the world. Next week, guys, we're going to be doing our 1995 year in review. And for our listeners out there, to get you ready to go for that, our match of the year candidates are Shawn Michaels versus Double J Jeff Jarrett from In Your House 2. And the ladder match, that's Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon from SummerSlam. So if any of our listeners out there want to go and check those out, we're going to be discussing those in depth in our next episode. And we're also going to have a lot of fun things, including Jobber of the Year and a few other things we're going to sprinkle in there to cap off 1995 and get us ready for 1996. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason. This has been Wrasslin Raw.